feel this is their year. They must be playing defensive. Schmeichel's not coming up for this one. Thinks he's done enough. Is this their moment? Beckham. Into Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it! Manchester United have reached the promised land. Ollie Solskjaer. 2 substitutes. That's scored the 2 goals in stoppage time.
4,
And the treble looms large.
1.
Hello and welcome to the United. Oh, I better get.
Forgot about that. Well, hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. We're back with another morning news show and plenty to talk about, guys. Really have an awful lot to talk about today. Really looking forward to jumping into it. And obviously, from what you can see on the thumbnail here, the main talking point is Harry Kane. And supposedly Harry Kane is Manchester United's #1 transfer target this summer. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. Obviously, he is potentially going to be wanting to leave in Spurs, but we're going to talk about it as we go as well. But plenty of other things to get into. We've got some updates on the new potential bidders and owners of Manchester United as well, Sir Jim Ratcliff and Qatar. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about potential expansion of Old Trafford. So there's some interest in reports coming out about that. We're going to talk about Scott McTominay and what a great couple of days he's had on international duty, scoring a bagload of goals, you would have to say. So we'll get into him as well. We're also going to talk about David De Gea and his contract negotiations potentially stalling at the moment. So we'll get into that as well. But I appreciate everyone who's watching, guys. Anyone who's watching back later on the channel as well, you're more than welcome. Hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. But I appreciate everyone that's here. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. And obviously, the main talking point over the last 24 hours has been in relation to this man, Harry Kane. And reports have suggested, now these reports are coming from the Mirror. Now I know what you're saying in relation to the Mirror, how reliable can they be? But they haven't got an awful lot wrong for some reason since Erik Ten Hag has took over Manchester United. I don't know the ins and outs of how these things work. Do different managers have different maybe outlets or potential agencies that they go to with these kind of things? I know they're not going to go directly, but these things eventually get out one way or another. So the Mirror hasn't got an awful lot wrong ever since Ten Hag has taken over. And they're reporting that Manchester United are preparing to make their move for Harry Kane with an £80 million offer for the striker this summer. They also go on to suggest that it is understood that Harry Kane will once again push to exit Spurs, and that United, who are on the way back under new boss Erik Ten Hag, are his preferred destination. So it's really, really interesting. And here we go again. It's coming from the same report. Erik Ten Hag has made Harry Kane his #1 transfer target this summer. So, really interesting stuff there. United bosses will not wait until the end of the season before opening negotiations with Spurs for Harry Kane. And I think that's a really important point there because we stated in previous morning shows that, the last thing we want to see is Manchester United dragging their heels, getting bogged down in transfer negotiations throughout the entirety of the summer. And then we're going into pre-season without our signings being made. We've seen it happen last summer. We've seen the fact that United didn't make their signings early. We concentrated an awful lot of our resources on the likes of Frankie de Jong. And it left us maybe hamstrung a little bit going into pre-season. We had a very good pre-season in relation to the players that were there, but we didn't have our signings in place in time to get them on pre-season. And we've seen it affected us at the start of the season, obviously losing them 2 games to Brentford and Brighton. So I think it's very important that United do start negotiations as quickly as possible for our priority targets this summer, and obviously Harry Kane is going to be one of them. And we discussed yesterday on the news show that, obviously Victor Osimhen is another name that's been linked with Manchester United and a variety of other clubs as well. But when it comes to guaranteeing goals in the Premier League, me personally, I think Harry Kane is a safer bet. I really do. But look, I don't think it's going to be easy. I really don't. Now, we know that, historically, Daniel Levy has been a very, very tough negotiator, and, sticks to his guns an awful lot in relation to letting players go. The reports coming out from Spurs on their end is that they're happy to go into the final 12 months of Harry Kane's contract, hoping they can agree a new deal with him before next summer, and he will, obviously go for free if they don't. So this could be, maybe defensive tactics from Spurs, in relation to getting a premium for Harry Kane if they dig their heels in. And, Manchester United are being touted as potentially the only English club that are willing to go in for Harry Kane this summer. Harry Kane, by all accounts, wants to stay in England. He's on course, if he can stay fit and keep scoring goals, to break Alan Shearer's Premier League record and be the greatest scorer in the history of the league. So I think Spurs have that card in their back pocket, and they know that. And if they dig their heels in, Manchester United are in desperate need of a number 9. I think the ball is basically, well, I wouldn't say it's fully in Spurs' court, because they know that, the longer this drags on, the more chance and the more likelihood of them losing Harry Kane for free next season occurs, So, and I think whatever about Spurs fans, I don't think a lot of Spurs fans would, of course, they would be disappointed if Harry Kane left, but I don't think they would begrudge him leaving. I really don't. He's given everything for Spurs. He's their all-time goal scorer, all-time leading goal scorer. So obviously they would be disappointed if he left, especially if he left to a rival like Manchester United. But I think it is going to be a rival, because he's not going to be leaving England, So yeah, I don't think the ball is fully in Spurs' court, and I think United know that as well. But in contrast to that, I think Spurs and Daniel Levy know that Manchester United don't want to go into a long, drawn-out transfer saga throughout the whole summer. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I would like to see, like I've said many times before, I would like to see Manchester United put time frames in place. If we don't get a player by a certain date, we move on to our next option. And whether that be Harry Kane, whether that be Frankie de Jong, Jude Bellingham, whoever it is we may be going for, I think it's important that we do that. So yeah, look, I'm happy we're linked with Harry Kane. I think he's a shorter term replacement to the likes of a Victor Osimhen, given the fact that he's going to be 30 in July. But I think we need 2 strikers, and I've said this on multiple lives, on multiple occasions, that if you go for Harry Kane, I think it sets up going for someone like an Evan Ferguson at 18 years of age. I think it's perfect planning. You give Harry Kane a 3-year deal with the option of a 4th year, for example, and Evan Ferguson is, just working away in the background, learning everything, getting 15 to 20 games a season, either from a starting position or from the bench. And, in 3 or 4 years' time, if you decide to move Harry Kane on, Evan Ferguson is primed and ready to go to be our number 1 striker for the upcoming 10 years. So I think it's good planning from Manchester United if that's the route they want to go down. I think Harry Kane is guaranteed to get you goals. He's just guaranteed to score goals if he can stay injury-free. Now, there's been this kind of cloud over Harry Kane's head, from media and from fans, that he's injury prone. He had a number of injuries about 3 or 4 years ago, and he hasn't been injured since. And I think it's an unfair label he's been tarnished with. I don't think he's been, a very injury prone. He had a small period where he got a couple of injuries in quick succession, but since then he's been basically, injury free. So I wouldn't be overly concerned. And look, I'm sure Manchester United will do their due diligence on it. you don't go out and spend 80 million euro on a striker that you're in desperate need of without ticking all the boxes and without covering all bases. So, look, I think Harry Kane is a good option. Let's hope we can get it done nice and early if it is. And again, like I said, whether you agree with whether it should be Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen, I think it comes down to if the manager wants Harry Kane or if the manager wants Victor Osimhen, we need to get behind him because he has earned our trust and our respect given how well he bought last summer in the transfer window. So if he decides it's Harry Kane, if he decides it's Victor Osimhen, if he decides it's, Ramos, if he decides it's, whoever, Seshko, whoever it may be, then, we'll get behind him and we'll support him. But yeah, look, let's see what happens. We'll move it on, guys. And talking about, obviously, the other big talking point over the last few weeks has been the takeover of Manchester United and potential bidders coming in. Obviously, the main two are Sir Jim Ratcliff and the Qatari bid under Sheikh Jassim. So reports yesterday from Mark Ogden from ESPN have suggested, and we knew about this previously, that UEFA were looking into this multi-club ownership and how it's going to affect, clubs and teams that are playing in the same competitions, i.e. the Champions League. And reports from ESPN yesterday suggest that Manchester United bidder Sir Jim Ratcliffe could be forced to sell his stake in French club Nice to avoid one of the teams being excluded from the Champions League if he wins the race to buy Manchester United. Now, this is something that we've been aware of and that we know UEFA are looking into, and what way is it going to work, and there seems to be a bit of updates on it in relation to this. The report goes on to suggest that if Ratcliffe buys Manchester United, and he's obviously owning Nice as well, and they both finish in Champions League qualification spots, the club finishing higher would take the place in the competition, meaning that United would miss out if they finish fourth and Nice finish the league in League One, in Ligue 1's top 3 spots. Now, there's only 3 Champions League places in the French league, whereas there's 4 in the Premier League. So this is interesting. It's an interesting development. I can't really see it being an issue this year. If Manchester United finish in third, I don't think Nice. I think Nice are in 6th or 7th in the league at the moment. Let me see. I'll just have a quick check here. I will see. Let me have a look. Nice are currently in 7th at the moment, and they're on 44 points. And they are 13 points off of third place. So, look, it would be a big ask out of them to get into third place. And this is all depending on if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is successful in his bid to buy Manchester United. And now, look, obviously, we do know that Qatar own PSG, So Sheikh Al Thani, who is leading the Qatari bid to buy Manchester United, may also be forced to prove that he has no influence in the running of Paris Saint-Germain. Now, if this is the case, that, it turns out that they don't allow multi-club ownership and the same club can't compete in the same competition, or sorry, 2 different clubs can't compete in the same competition. If the Qatari bid is successful, then you're looking at PSG winning the league every year. So if it is a case that, like we've seen previously here, that whoever finishes higher, whichever club finishes higher in their respective league, is going to go into the Champions League, then United are in serious problems because PSG basically win the French league every year. So for Manchester United to go into the Champions League, if this is to be believed, then they would have to be winning the Premier League every year. I don't think it's going to come down to this. I really don't. I don't see it being a massive issue. I think UEFA will soften their stance on it. I do think that Qatar are going to have to prove that it's 2 different entities that's going to own PSG to Manchester United. Again, we spoke yesterday about the Qatari bid looking to, build a multi-club kind of footballing empire where, you know, Sporting Braga of Portugal would be the feeder club for Manchester United, where you would get, you know, young talents from South America, Europe, all over the world, bring them to Sporting Braga in Portugal, develop them there, and then, you know, use that as a feeder club to Manchester United and PSG. So it's going to be interesting to see over the coming weeks what happens with, you know, UEFA, what their stance is going to be on this multi-club ownership, whether they allow Qatar to come in and own PSG and Manchester United, whether they allow Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come in and own Nice and Manchester United. We'll see what happens. There's going to have to be, if it is the case, there's going to have to be some changes in relation to either UEFA softening their stance on allowing two clubs to compete under the same owner in the Champions League, or potential owners of Manchester United are going to have to maybe change their business plan in relation to owning two clubs, because if UEFA come out and they say we're not allowing you own two clubs to compete in the Champions League, then they're going to have to make up their mind. They really are. But there has been reports as well, guys, coming out over the last 24 hours or so. And this is coming from Matt Lawson in the Times. And he suggests that obviously the two main bidders are Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but he's also coming out and saying that some sources believe that Elliott Investment should be seen as the third horse in the race to buy Manchester United, especially as the offers from Ineos and Sheikh Jassim are still below the $6 billion desired by the Glazers. Now, basically what this means is, obviously, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Qatar are the main bidders for Manchester United. And they want, obviously, the Qatar bid wants 100% stake in Manchester United. Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to buy the Glazers 69%. Now, the Elliott bid, this is a minority stake in Manchester United. So this is basically the third option for the Glazers. If they don't get the money that they want from the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Qatar, this is probably the most viable option that they are going to look at. And this is the most fearful option that fans are worried about. So basically, if Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe don't offer the money that the Glazers want, they don't care who they sell to. They want money. That's all they want. This is going to be their next option. They're going to stay on as majority shareholders at Manchester United. Manchester United will still be owned by the Glazers, and the minority investment is going to come in from the Elliott Group. And they obviously are coming in to invest their money to get a return on it in 3, 4, 5 years' time, whatever it may be. That investment then from the Glazers will be seen as an influx of money for us to, you know, reinvest it in the stadium, in the training facilities, in, you know, in the squad, whatever it may be. This is the most wanted outcome from fans, basically. We do not want to see this happening, because what this means is, this means the Glazers are staying. If this Elliott Group is, and their bid is being accepted by the Glazers, this means that the Glazers are staying, and that the Elliott Group is going to be that influx of money that the Glazers are looking for to invest in the stadium, in the training ground, in the squad, but remain as majority shareholder of Manchester United. This is what we don't want, this option right here. So, look, obviously there's going to be, they're debating this, the second round bids that as we speak. Supposedly we could hear by the end of the month. Now, the end of the month is the end of this week. Potentially whether the Glazers accept it or not. I don't think they will. I think there'll be a third round of bidding. I really do. But if eventually Qatar and Sir Jim Ratcliffe don't come up to the figures that the Glazers want, then this is a very viable option for the Glazers to stay on as majority shareholder. And it's not what we want as fans. It really, really is not what we want as fans. So look, let's hope that that doesn't happen. Let's move it on, guys. Reports have suggested as well, from the same report from Matt Lawson in the Times, if the Glazers do stay on, obviously the main issue is renovating the stadium. You know, obviously Old Trafford has fallen apart. It's been a big issue with fans, and it's an area that hasn't been, I'm not going to say on the top of the priority list for the Glazers, because nothing really is other than money for them. But obviously we've seen Old Trafford fall behind and become a second tier stadium. You know, and reports over the last few days have suggested that estimates for an expansion of Old Trafford to bring it up to 88,000 seats with a new south stand, extending over the railway line, are in the region of 200 million. So, look, it's interesting to see what kind of money we're looking at here to expand the stadium and to bring it up to the levels required. You know, this 200 million is to bring and expand the south stand. Does this include, renovations to the stands that are already there? You know, obviously they all need work too. You know, we need massive investment into Old Trafford, and we need massive investment into bringing it up to the levels that are required. You know, this is for the stand alone. We've heard reports of if Qatar take over, the whole area would be renovated. Obviously Manchester United itself owns a lot of the land around Old Trafford, but nothing has been done with it. It's been sitting idle. You know, it's car parks, it's, barren land. Qatar have suggested that if they come in, it'll all be, renovated. It'll all be looked at becoming basically what Manchester City have done, you would have to say. Manchester United land, basically, all around where, you would have, the training facilities, the youth and the women's facilities, they have to play miles away from Old Trafford in facilities that are not even owned by Manchester United. So I think this is a big talking point, and one that whoever takes over Manchester United, whether it be Sir Jim Ratcliff, the Qataris, if the Glazers stay, please God no, that this is going to be high on the priority list. It really is. But interesting to see what kind of figures we're looking at there. So let's move it on, guys, and let's talk about current, I suppose, squad players. And obviously we're on international break at the moment. But how good has this man been playing over the last couple of days? Obviously, Scott McTominay scored 2 goals again last night against Spain. Brilliant play by him, and he's had 2 very good games now for Scotland. And is he getting a raw deal at Manchester United? That's what I want to talk about this morning. Obviously, Manchester United are using him primarily in a defensive midfielding position. Like we've seen it over the last few years, that, he's been playing alongside Fred and McTominay under Solskjaer as, 2 basically holding midfielders. And we knew how negative Solskjaer was when it came to that. And, Ten Hag has deployed him a number of occasions this season, more, further up the field. And we've seen him put in better performances when he has been playing in them positions. And now we see him with his country, that he scored 4 goals in basically 60 minutes of international football, playing as a number 8, playing further up the field. There has been some videos that have surfaced over the last few hours as well, overnight, of McTominay playing in the youth setup as a number 9 and scoring some very good goals. So I always thought that McTominay was a better player playing further up the field, and I think him playing in the 6, he doesn't have enough discipline. He's not a type of player that I don't think has the confidence to go and take the ball off the back 4 and look to open his body and progress it up the field. We've seen it, and we've discussed it an awful lot of times, that he is better off playing higher up the field and, with less pressure on him to take the ball off the defense. The further you are up the field, the less pressure there is about giving the ball away, and I think he does give the ball away a lot. And we can see here, that in his interview after the game, he states, as a kid, I was an attacking midfielder. I got too tall. I like to get into the box and help my teammates. I can add more goals and assists. So we can see that there straight away. John says, great timing to hit form when Casemiro is out. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we've seen other midfielders over the international break play really well. Obviously, Sabitzer got 2 goals and an assist in his first game. He sat out the second game because he had a knock, which is good, meaning he's getting a rest. Bruno Fernandes has been playing really well. Also, Casemiro has been playing good on his international duty as well. Obviously, he's suspended for the next 3 games. So it's good that we're having central midfielders coming into a bit of form when we need them. But I'd like to know from you guys. Let me know in the comments below. Do you still think Scott McTominay has a future at Manchester United, or will he maybe move on in the summer? I do. Look, it's obviously, we obviously know that, you know, scoring 4 goals on international duty is commendable for Scott McTominay. Absolutely, it's commendable. But does that change anything in relation to his future at Manchester United? He's done it over the space of a week, and he's played really well over the space of a week for Scotland. He hasn't played well over the space of 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years for Manchester United consistently. And I think that's the issue for Scott McTominay. I don't think these 2 games are going to really change anything in Erik ten Hag's mind frame, and I think potentially he'll be moved on in the summer. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think maybe we should look to hold on to him, maybe look at deploying him in a different role as a backup to maybe a Bruno Fernandes in an 8, or a Christian Eriksen in an 8, maybe where you know, we can play him further up the field rather than having him sitting in such a deep lying role. And as he said here, he just got too tall. And when you're a tall player playing as a central midfielder, generally you get moved back into more defensive lying areas. So it's unfortunate for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think do you think we should hang on to him and maybe deploy him further up the field? Or do you think maybe his future is set in stone and we're going to maybe move him on in the summer? Let me know what you think. I'd be interested to know. Talking about central midfielders as well, and obviously one that's been out injured at the moment has been Christian Eriksen. But reports have suggested, again, this is from the Mirror, and they've been getting an awful lot right under Erik ten Hag, in fairness to him. Reports have suggested that Christian Eriksen could be back in action for Manchester United as early as next week. He is back in training and could even make the bench for the game at home to Everton a week on Saturday. Now, this is really, really positive news coming out of Manchester United that Christian Eriksen is close to a return. It was initially suggested that it may be into May that we might not see him. So he seems to be ahead of schedule, and it's really positive because we're going to need him. We're going to need him over the coming weeks and months in the running. You know, he was playing so well for Manchester United before he got injured as well. He really was. And, you know, the sooner we can get him back, the better. You know, the more options we can get in that midfield, the more rotation, because obviously we're still in a lot of competitions and we're going to need as much rotation as humanly possible in the centre of midfield. Liam says, I heard something saying Scotland play him at 9 and we should too. I think that's why they were saying, I think that's what they were saying anyway. Well, look, I mean, Scott McTominay, if we look at it completely from a performance standpoint, he tends to play better further up the field. You know, now, Erik ten Hag sees him day in, day out in training. So it's up to him. It really is. But look, it's good to hear the good news that Christian Eriksen is ahead of schedule coming back to Manchester United after his long layoff. The sooner we can get back, the better. Yeah, I think it's looking good for getting players back coming into the busy part of the season. Obviously, we're going to have a very busy run-in. I think we have 9 games in April, so it's going to be a very busy period for United. But one that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we're going to be doing all of the watch-alongs for United between now and the end of the season as well. So if you're watching, wherever you're watching on, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell notification as well, so you don't miss out when we go live, because we go live for all of the all of the United games. And I'm looking forward to getting back into them. Big one coming on Sunday against Newcastle. So, yeah. Going from one end of the field to another, let's talk about David De Gea. And obviously, we do know that Manchester United are in talks with him at the moment in relation to signing a new deal. We do know that United do want to try and put some kind of a salary cap in to their, into the club in relation to players, getting vastly, vastly expanding wages. I think David De Gea is on 375 grand a week, which is crazy, absolute crazy money. So we do know that Manchester United are looking to negotiate with him to get a knockdown price and a knockdown salary. But reports have suggested in the last 24 hours or so, and this is coming from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic, David De Gea has turned down Manchester United's first offer of a new contract, but at this stage, negotiations are expected to reach a positive conclusion. It goes on to say that David De Gea recognises that he must take salary reduction to stay at Manchester United, but feels that his performances this season still rank him as one of Ten Hag's most important players, and remuneration should follow accordingly. It also says that during the season, Ten Hag has come to appreciate David De Gea's worth and is happy for him to be his goalkeeper for the future. The sense is that he feels other positions require strengthening first, specifically centre forward. And this is something that we did know and that we have mentioned previously. We have suggested that Manchester United are probably going to look at strengthening other areas of the field before we go and strengthen the goalkeeping position. It also says that Ten Hag has given his blessing for David De Gea to continue at Manchester United. Tony Cotton, Manchester United chief goalkeeping scout, has been scouring Europe for 6 months and is not yet completely sold on a replacement, especially at the price being mentioned. So look, it's interesting. It's interesting what's going on with David De Gea and the fact that, we haven't really been, according to these reports, Manchester United haven't seen a replacement worth really going for with David De Gea. Now, look, I'm happy for David De Gea to stay at Manchester United. I really am. If Erik Ten Hag turns around and said he's my first choice goalkeeper, I want to keep him for the next 5 years, whatever it may be, I'm happy with that. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. I do think more than anything else that we need to get some kind of competition in for David De Gea because he doesn't have any at the moment. He really doesn't. Obviously, we have Tom Heaton there, but I don't think it's realistic competition there, Tom Heaton. Look, Tom Heaton is a good professional. He wants to get into the team and he wants to play for United like anybody does. But I think it's important that we get a goalkeeper in that can really challenge David De Gea in the coming weeks, months, and years, more than anything. But look, it goes back to what maybe we were saying with the potential striking options. If we are to go for a Harry Kane, that you would bring in maybe a Victor Osimhen, you would bring in maybe an Evan Ferguson, a young, hungry player that's looking to learn and develop, and in 3 or 4 years' time, he's ready to take over the mantle from a Harry Kane. I think similarly with David De Gea, if we could go out and get a young, talented goalkeeper at 19, 20, 21 years of age, that is ready to maybe take over the reins from David De Gea in 2 to 3 years' time, then I'd be all happy with that. I don't think it's a priority at the moment, like has been mentioned in that report. I think there are more important issues that we need to strengthen on. Centre forward, centre midfield, we need another, at least one more player. We need another centre back. We probably need a right back as well before we need a goalkeeper. We need to strengthen them areas. So look, I'm not overly concerned about David De Gea. I'm really not. I'd be happy for him to continue on as Manchester United goalkeeper for the coming, couple of years. But I do think it's important that we get some competition in there as well, because I think lack of competition can be a detrimental thing to a squad, and we've seen Erik Ten Hag say it already over the short period of time that he's been manager, that he wants to have competition in the majority of positions, you know, and not in the majority, in all of positions. You know, we seen Luke Shaw, you know, dragging his heels over the last 12 to 18 months up until this season. Malacia comes in, gets 5 or 6 games ahead of him, and all of a sudden Luke Shaw turns into an absolute animal and has been one of the best left backs in the league. So competition is healthy. It really is. Competition is healthy, and the more competition we can have, the better. But yeah, looking forward to it, you know. So let's see what happens over the coming weeks and months. But I think David De Gea will sign a new contract. I don't think it's a big issue. But like I said, we do need some competition in there. We're going to leave it there, guys. I appreciate everybody who's watched, who's tuned in, who's hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. We do these morning shows Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. We do all of the Manchester United watch-alongs as well. We have a podcast. Go check it out. You can scan the QR code on the screen on the right-hand side to follow us on any social media outlets. And you can scan the QR code on the other side if you're looking to get any merchandise like this. So, yeah, go check it out if it's something you're interested in. But thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the, you know, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know about De Gea. Do you think he should get a new deal? Let me know about the takeover options. What do you think there? And let me know about Harry Kane as well. I'd like to get your thoughts on Harry Kane and what, you know, what you potentially think about that. Yeah, knowing the fact that Manchester United are looking to go and spend 80 million on him. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking back at a later time. But I appreciate everyone watching, guys. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow for our 10 a.m. show as normal. But until then, take care.